Hi, today we have with us somebody who, at first glance, you might say that, hey, this guy seems to be quite young. But let me also tell you that he is somebody who's achieved so much over the past, I think, 15 years plus that he's been in this line, and he's made a name for himself in scientific circles, not only in India. He's made a name for himself abroad. Uh, he knows people from Japan know him, people from Germany know him, people from Poland know him. He's been invited over there in those countries to talk about uh, Indian shrimps, talk about his experience. And he's somebody who started off on his own company, Blue Vale Life Tech, in about 2018. And I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to hand it over to Abhisek Mallick. Please welcome Abhisek Mallick. Abhisek, welcome to the Weekend Aquarist Podcast. And I'm so glad that we could finally make it after so many,
Yes.
going back and forth, and the schedule's not matching. So
Uh,
let's hear it from you, Abhishek. Over to you. Give us a
Thank you
little
so much,
introduction.
Amar.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amar, for inviting me. So, hi all. This is Abhishek. So, I've been into this hobby, into this shrimp keeping and other things from like 2010 onwards. But predominantly, I focused more towards the Caridina segment. And if I say I specialize as more towards the crossbreeding, interbreeding, and other things of the Caridina species, where along with these things also created certain bit of new species. And when I started doing this has when we started knowing more about these things, that is where we have realized, and I have realized that there is a big bunch of Indian shrimps also that we have, which we have locally available, but we never had so much of thorough understanding or knowledge about those things. So 90, if I say like 90 to 95% of the shrimps which are there in the domestically available comes from my state of West Bengal itself, towards the northeast part, bordering towards Bhutan. So when I started keeping, I did not find much of the data. Even the international people also, they did not have much of the data. So that is when we got exposed, or we thought of, okay, fine, I'll go to this field itself. We connected with the local farmers, local collectors. They've taken us to the interior jungles. We have recorded all the data points, etc. So if you visit Amar, the wild habitats of the shrimps, it start opening up the perspective also. So similarly, I have visited the in Hong Kong also, from where the Caridina cantonensis, that is the CRS started. It's actually a stream which flows across, and you have rocks and pebbles, and the leaf litter it is there on the bottom of the streams. That's where you find the shrimps.
Mhm.
Similarly, there is, which we called as the leopard shrimp also in hobby, which is available in Vietnam. So when I went to Hanoi, did a small expedition there. But yes, if I say predominantly, I have collected mostly like the 90 to 95% of the shrimps which are presented to the hobby, started documenting eventually in such a way that we had the quarterly data also with that. Just the only
So
shrimp
I'm going to
which
pause you over here. Okay, you're going a little bit too fast for us. We'll take a we'll
haha,
rewind we'll rewind a little bit to your
okay.
starting years. How did you start off in this? Because I'm sure shrimps came as a newfound love at some point. Okay, but you did not start off with shrimp. Surely you would have started with fish. Let's talk about that also. Let's tell us about your journey, and we are
Okay.
most interested in the shrimps part of it. So we'll come to that as well.
So in Bangalore, when I was there, you are right, I was keeping fishes. My first fishes in Bangalore were some Tanganyikan chickens. Uh, through browsing through the IAH and shrimp forum in Germany, I got exposed to the shrimps thing. Then luckily I got the crystal red shrimps. I saw it in one of the French place through IH Circle itself. I asked him what are the key parameters you keep in. So then almost like I kept, uh, I reduced mostly like 10% only in fish keeping. Rest all the tanks it got dedicated towards CRS, Caridinas, etc. And day one onwards itself, the big challenge which we faced across, we did not have so much of information floating around within India. So we need to be available or we need to speak with the international experts, and they were quite helpful in doing that. So what started with Caridinas like CRS, CBS, then somewhere across I got some tiger shrimps through one of the sources. I started crossing them all together. Okay, let's see what is the new genetics comes across. We get some F1. Okay, it's not stabilized. Let's cross the F1 with F2. You follow the Mendel's law, right? So that way it started. And in one phase, it came across the hobby, it went across in such a way that from 3, 4 tanks, we went to 200 and odd tanks.
My God.
Okay, so all dedicated towards shrimps. Neos, I did not felt much of the interest except like it looks colorful, but it's too easy to keep. And there is no such learning phase there in Neocaridina. For a hobbyist point of view, you like it, but if you try to crossbreed or if you try to do certain bit of experiment with them, they are not so good. If you cross, let's say, yellow with orange, they go back to the wild color.
So, what's the difference between, and this is for the audience, what's the difference between a Neocardina and a Cardina? What's the major difference?
So primarily, there are few genuses in shrimps. You have Neocaridina and Caridina, which covers like 80 to 90% of the total shrimps into the hobby. So Neocaridina, if I tell you, they can cover a vast range of water parameters. You can keep them from like softer water till 200, 300 TDS till you can go to 600, 700 TDS also.
Okay.
And they are little forgiving for you for temperature regulations also. So till 28, 29, you can do that. And they breed like rabbits.
Okay.
Okay. And you have very good colorful colors with them. Like you have the blue coloration, you have the yellow coloration, red, white, and so on, so on. But and then you have the carotenogenes, which is where my interest lies across also. So it's primarily like the Caridina cantonensis. What is in the cantonensis? The CR crystal red and crystal blacks. These are little sensitive as compared to neos. Caridinas can only survive on softer water. 150 to 180 or 200 TDS, you're done. Maximum till 25-degree temperature done. And they are little susceptible towards the water parameters also. So you need to be very sure. But again, with Caridina thing, the best part which I liked across is that they are a massive shrimp when it comes about if you want to learn something and experiment something. You cross something and then you start doing. I mean, I made shrimps which are like orange eyes. I made shrimps which are like yellow eyes. I made shrimps which are like silver eyes. These are all, I mean, if you have interest towards biologicals or you want to test yourself, I would always suggest go for the Caridina segments because the learning is immense there.
Wow.
Right.
So coming from B Tech, doing an MBA, and now you're into genetics as well. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully I should have studied these fish keeping in before my class 12 exams. I would have got
Yeah.
better marks in chemistry. Right. What in my after during my job I started learning what is acidic, what is alkaline. Okay, but yes, you would say that it's thing which I mean we do 9 to 5 job, and after that we come home. We need something to break that chain. We need
Right.
something for ourselves also. That is where the shrimps come. Not just shrimps. I have done lot of your things on the dwarf craze also. Okay, so visited people in Hong Kong, visited people in Germany to know about them who are able to breed the dwarf craze also,
Right.
like the CPOs, the orange dwarf craze that we call across. There is a blue genetics, blue one also.
Yes.
These things like okay, so things which interest me until and unless as a human, until and unless we start evolving,
Mm.
we start getting certain bit of projects, etc., or we start working on certain species, which tests us or which challenges our potential or our boundaries, it does not much interest me.
Right.
Okay.
So tell us, there's Neo Caridina. There's also these Sulawesi shrimps,
Uh,
which are quite famous, but they also require particular, parameters to be mentioned. I think more alkaline. I may be wrong. I don't remember it
right.
exactly now. But tell us
So,
about that also.
so Sulawesi, if you visit that island, that the lakes which are there from where they primarily the shrimps get collected,
Hmm.
it's kind of a locked between a volcanic area,
Hmm. Hmm.
and only nature can create that water parameter.
Hmm.
So the water TDS is somewhere around 120 to 150,
Hmm.
but the pH of the values is always 7.5 to 8.5.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we predominantly say that TDS, lower TDS means it's towards the acidic side.
Hmm.
It's similar kind of water parameters what the marine people keep,
Hmm.
right? But it's in a freshwater thing. So initially, I got my hands on the first Sulas on 2011.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so in 2011, when we first got the Sulas, it was a massive failure. We
Hmm.
did not knew what to do.
Hmm.
We started slowly learning. Like you aerate the water for 24 hours, your pH value goes up.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's how we used to do water change, and that's how cardinal shrimps and other things we bred across in 2012 or 2013.
Hmm.
But with the invent of salty shrimp 8.5 and 7.5, it becomes so easy
Hmm.
that Sula became keeping so easy. In
So
Sulas also,
I'll just pause over here because you keep
uh,
throwing these names. So salty shrimp is a brand of
it's a
products,
brand.
and it does not mean a salty shrimp. It's a brand called
It's a
salty
brand.
shrimp,
Sorry.
and Abhishek is the person who brought it into India and started distributing it. I remember that because when in 2016 I had Tropico Aqua, Abhishek and I came to know each other since then, and I remember bringing in some of that to the gallery
Hmm.
also. Go ahead, Abhishek. I
Right.
think remember this, okay? The audience might not know your short form, so
Right.
always pause. Yeah,
I'll
yeah. Go ahead.
I'll look into that. So Sula also I have bred close to many species like white orchid, harlequin, red lie. These are few of the species. These things. Cardinal shrimps also, harlequin. In Sulas, the market leaders are the Vietnamese guys. But the reason why this shrimp did not got so much popularity is because they are very fragile when it comes to shipping.
Mm,
So if I take from my one tank one to tank three also, they might not be adjusting it so thoroughly. Though we can ship it to let's say outside of the states or outside of any other place also. But even with constantly breeding with in a controlled environment also, these shrimps are little fragile. And the thing is that the water parameters that these shrimps need is not ideal for growing plants also. So now
mm.
people prefer keeping these shrimps into a planted tank. So
Oh.
sulas they don't go very well in the planted tank. So that is the reason these things in a global basis also could not picked up much thing. One sula which I bred in one time, so you can, I mean, you can go to Garner and House website and it is there. We call it as, I used to call it as Galaxy Sulas.
Mm, mm.
So Galaxy Solar somewhere around 2016, 2017, I used to export one. We used to export it to European countries and other
Wow.
things also.
Wow.
So that is something which we created from 2, 3 crossing of few of the shrimps.
Right.
That's how it came across.
Okay. So how you started off in 2010, 2011. You started getting interested in shrimps and all, but how did the international connections start happening? Uh, for those of us who are in the hobby stage, but also are progressing towards you're always climbing ladders in this hobby, right? How did you kind of you know get the attention of all these folks from Germany, Poland, and some Japanese and all? How did that happen?
Mainly because of in that time we had lot of forums, Australian shrimp keepers, then we had shrimp keepers forums. There were all the international experts, they were present there. What happened is, across, as we did not have much of the information, we used to go to these guys, we used to put across. And maybe out of 5,000 or 10,000 people, me or there would be just one or two people from India who used to be. But consistently, like from last 10 years, I was the one only who used to be there. Some came, they kept stayed in the hobby for 2 3 months, and then they drifted away. So that's how, okay, people were like, okay, this guy is persistent. Okay, this guy is not letting us go. And eventually, when it happens that even if you reach out to anybody nationally or internationally, also, if you are going with the interest of learning things, people are always there to help.
Right,
But if your interest is something else, then people become a little receptive.
right.
So that's how these people have started supporting. When I'm like, I posted one of my shrimps, how is this one? These guys are like brutal, honest. You have an open skirt disease for the shrimps. I'm like, what is it? Go and Google. So started Googling, okay, the carapace or the bottom part of the female shrimps, it's broken. It's an open skirt. They are like, discard this shrimp. She's not good to carry or bring new generation into the world. Okay, so it's a defective shrimp. So that's how. These are the things. People some of the times like Neocaridina in the bottom part, when they are carrying eggs, it's ideally need to be yellow or white, these color. But there are green color of fungi which comes across, which generally happens, which if you were breeding the shrimps in a non-controlled environment. I asked them what is this thing. They've given me an entire, like say, 10 15 page of German documentation from them. So these international people, Japanese people and other things, they are mostly towards your research base. They go behind the cause. Okay, why it is happening? If it has happened with me, let's ensure it does not happen with 5 10 or more people. And the way I have started working towards the Indian shrimps, like the Caridina hot carti, babao tea, etc., in a methodical way, had all the entire data, like ammonia, nitrate, nitrite, pH, TDS, all the key parameters. I started sharing it with them also. They are like, then automatically you start building the respect also. That it's a kind of a mutual thing. Then on that perspective itself is like with these folks started interacting. Japan or the Asia side, they keep shrimps in a different way, whereas Europe it keeps shrimps in a different way.
So what's different? What's different?
So how it happens is that the European side they prefer thicker soil and they use acadama. For us, I'm just going for the Caridina one because their weather is quite colder. So
Yes.
acadama works in their region, right? And they use thicker soil because the thick or the if let's say you use thick soil, so it needs more time to cycle the tank. But the your tank is stable for 1 1.5 years. Whereas and they predominantly use the sponge filtration. But if you come to the Asia side, let's say let's pick the two pioneers, Taiwan and Japan. So they use the thinner soil because it cycles the tank within 10 15 days. But again, in 6 months or 8 months, you need to reset the tank. And they use mostly towards the UG, undergravel filtration. Okay. In and other than that, and Japanese, they have a certain criteria for selecting what is a good shrimps or a bad shrimps. Their PRL, let's say pure red line. So crystal reds, the highest grade goes in pure red line. They have a different parameters, but the European side has a different parameters. But what it is that the basic ground for everybody is almost the same. It's just that the country specific or the country, whatever the weather conditions that you have, you adapt.
Right,
That's what they do.
right, right.
Right. So we picked whatever it is there from both the sides and what works best for us.
So interesting. So, just out of curiosity, you also, I'm just going back to the timeline. You started on 2010, 2011. You are 36 now. So you must have been really young when you kind of reached out to them and started interacting with them. I can just
Mhm.
imagine, what an Abhishek would have looked like without a beard, without a mustache, and you would have looked like really young. Okay, so
Yeah.
um, what was their response like? What was their reaction like?
If I would be too honest with you, I got much of the support from the international folks.
Right?
Okay. They were like, "You're too young. Why are you so bothered?" I'm like, "So what?" Then there are, there were people I was interacting who were like in late 60s, late 70s. They are retired. They have some 80, 100 tanks. I'm like, what you are doing? You have so many tanks. I have just five, six tanks.
Mm,
They're like, your time will come.
mm, mm.
Start having little bit of patience. So this hobby and interacting with, from a varied age group also, it have started calming down my nerves also. Okay, it's like, okay, start things slowly.
Yeah,
It's not a race. You need to enjoy this thing.
right.
And certain things, what I would say is that when they see me such a young, they're like, okay, you are persistent, so I'm going to help you. And to till date, I would say you after even till 15 years, it has passed across. Like 80 to 90% of them I speak still regularly. We still exchange notes.
Wow.
Right. So that entire learning is still continuing and hopefully it will again continue in coming days too.
One of my takeaways from this conversation, and this is again for the audience, is uh, you reached out to them, and you reached out to them, confidently saying that I need your help, guide me, and all that. They've kind of reciprocated that. Many of
Right.
us hesitate to kind of take that first in action, thinking that what if I get rejected, right? And I'm
Right.
really glad that you've taken that call and gone your forged your path over there. Is this the same kind of reaction you would have got in the Indian environment, in the Indian industry? Was it the same, or was it different?
No, in India also, what I would tell you is that people who are knowledgeable,
Hmm.
who are, and if you go to them as a student itself, you raise, I don't know anything, you teach me. If you go with certain bit of attitude that, oh, I have done this thing, then you might face resistance from both the sides.
Yeah.
If you don't, there is no shame actually.
Right.
It's something like a student. You are a student.
Hmm.
If I don't know something, it's okay. There is every day there is new learning. There are still kids across in this hobby who, I now keep it, just I'm diverting for 10, 20,
Sure,
30
sure,
seconds.
sure, sure.
So I started keeping birds from last 2, 3 years, and the person who is teaching me, he's 22, 23 years old.
Hmm.
He is keeping birds from last 6, 8 years, and you see his knowledge level.
Hmm.
So you need to be quite even for eventually from the old IH group also.
Hmm.
They were so helpful to me, and even till date, people like Beta, I can reach out to Gibran and all the other folks. Nikhil, we are in a closed group. This is the problem I'm facing with this fish. What to do?
Hmm. Hmm.
Do
Awesome,
these things.
awesome, awesome.
Okay, but I would say be modest when you are going to. You need the learning. So try to be as modest as it possible.
Right.
Don't unnecessarily show attitude, and do try to understand also that our English is much better as compared to Southeast Asian English,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
you can't expect other European countries also to speak English as per.
Right.
So don't just watch out for the tones and watch out for the words also that we use.
Hmm.
And people are helpful in the hobby.
Hmm. Hmm. Awesome. So, Abhishek, how did you start Blue Whale Lifetech? I understand you started it around 2016 or 18, 18, I think.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Go ahead, please tell us about that as well.
So when I started keeping the shrimps, that time only I realized that there is a market gap. We don't get the quality premium products into India.
Hmm.
Brands like Benibachi, brands like Mosura, they never used to get. So initially when we started getting those brands into India.
Hmm. Hmm.
We started keeping the salty shrimp brand also, which will ease your hobby keeping.
Hmm.
Right. So that's how Blue Whale Lifetech got started.
Mm.
Blue Whale Lifetech, and then we started importing those items, we getting those items, and etc. And people were helpful in that region also, because I don't come with an abundance of money, and neither I come from a business family. So even with a smaller order also, they were happy to help me. And a lot of people has helped me into my hobby where I have reached till now. So uh, we eventually, for the fishes and other things also, where it was much of an evolved market as compared to the crustacean side. So that's how Blue Whale formed.
Mm.
Eventually, when I started my own line and other things also,
Mm.
we started concentrating or working towards the segment, like the crustacean segment first,
Mm.
because that's where there was massive gap
Mm. Mm.
in the product
Mm.
and other things. So that's how your Blue Whale Life Tech, we identified that there is a big gap in the market, which we could start working towards it. We could start making the hobby easy for everybody.
Mm.
Just mix the sauce, what I would say, mineral with the water, change the water, and you don't need to bother anything else.
Right.
If
Right.
fishes will start keeping properly.
Right. So what are the products that Blue Whale specializes in now? Over the last, I think, what, 6 7 years now, what is it that you are now specializing in?
So we have started reducing from import specific, just imported thing itself. We have started working towards our own brand itself.
Mm. Mm.
So initially, what started towards just a shrimp-based product itself, now we have moved towards the avian segment,
Okay.
and hope, along with covering the freshwater aquarium species, we have kept it for the avian segments, and our products is now going towards US, UK,
Wow.
Iran, these countries.
Wow. Awesome. What's the brand that you're selling them under?
So there is one brand I sell it under as Lias, LES.
Okay.
Lias means or signifies for a ray of sunlight.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so it goes in that line itself.
Mm-hmm.
So Blue Whale is specialized, or Blue Whale will place itself as a company which is heavily research dependent.
Mm.
We are not going to tell you just to use our product. We are going to quantify you.
Mm.
As much data point as you need, we are going to
Mm.
provide the same thing to you.
Mm. Mm.
Now, our future focus also is, Amar, that we start moving towards more towards the exotic pets, like the exotic mammals or the exotic reptiles, which Indian
Yeah.
governments allows you to keep those ones.
Mm. Mm.
And slowly, in that, we want to start building towards that. Our main aim or vision, if I will tell you, we want to create certain bit of company like Mars, what is done from US,
Mm.
that kind of a quality focused things from India.
Mm. Mm.
And in this purpose, we work very closely with the Japanese folks. We work very closely with the German folks, because the entire product formulation, how the testing methodology, how the
Mm.
production things, etc., all these things happen.
Mm.
It's controlled by them. It's guided by them. I won't say controlled is the right word. It's
Mm.
completely guided by them.
Right. So, working with the Japanese and working with the Germans, okay, both are great nations. Both are known for, a certain level of quality that they bring in. Uh, what has been your experience given your interactions with them?
So, as you rightly pointed across, that both of the people are very much quality concerned,
Mm.
and they won't even, if you know about Six Sigma, like we can have 6 million, six defects in 1 million.
Yeah, yeah,
They are Japanese are the first people who pioneered this concept.
right.
So the entire methodology, entire production for both the ones it is there, but Japanese are more towards the traditional side,
Mm.
right? So what is worked for them, it's working good for them,
Yeah, don't
right?
don't don't
And
break it now.
don't break it. Don't break it. They value very much your family traditions and other
Mm.
things.
Mm.
Okay, they very much value your family times also.
Mm.
Like Saturday, Sunday, whatever it is there, they will go out with their families. They're not working on those days itself, whenever there is a festivals. And they're very clean, I would say, very cleanliness free kind of thing.
Mm.
Even after 10 minutes of a production, also you go to their production, it's completely clean,
Mm,
right? And when on the other side of the Germans things itself, they are very much process oriented,
mm,
and they are very much adaptive and open to the changes.
mm,
The thing that they speak about in the hobby, if I say from my country specific, we are light years behind them.
mm, mm, mm,
Okay, so these are they also value the family time. They Sunday, they don't even take your phone also.
mm,
Sunday, their malls, etc., everything is closed.
mm,
They need to concentrate on their family life.
mm.
So it's a kind of a mixed thing. It's good that I have, at a young age itself, got exposed to both of the countries and their workings.
Right. And I'm sure it has also shaped your own thinking and your own approach towards work. I
Right,
noticed one thing that you said, which is again something that is borrowed from the Japanese philosophy of work, and it is called Kaizen, and it
right,
talks about continuous improvement. It talks about small increments. It doesn't matter as long as you're making progress. Small improvements, small steps, keep making that progress, because I noticed that you said that some time back, and that's something good.
yeah.
It's really amazing that you got exposed to all of this at a very young age. um, Tell us a little bit more about uh, you are also known in the uh, in the community uh, for your research on Indian shrimps, and you've been
Mhm.
going to various expeditions also. Any interesting moments, any good findings that you would want to kind of share with us?
Wild shrimps, I mean, going to the wild habitat itself, though primarily you need to go deeper into the forest areas. Okay. So certain, I have a phobia for snakes. So if anything, I mean, the forests are so dense that even in afternoon, 12 o'clock also, if you go, it's completely dark. And if something moves, I'm like,
Hmm.
what if it's a snake and other thing? So in one of the interesting thing, what happened is I went to a small stream.
Hmm.
I saw some dump which is across all these streams across. What is this? Then I asked the local farmers and others, what is this? Nothing. Yeah, oh, that wild hathi crossed some time back. Only wild hathi crossed some time back, and you brought me here.
Uh,
Okay, you brought me here. Oh, kuch hi nahi, nothing. They won't. Chodo.
hmm.
Let's go.
uh,
So in some other situations, we were chased by, when we went to some of the areas, we were chased by the BSF forces also, from which is neighboring towards
Bangladesh,
Bhutan.
okay. Bhutan,
No,
okay.
Bhutan side. So they were
Okay.
chased us across when they saw that I'm carrying a briefcase of
Hmm.
test kit and other things. So I got
Hmm.
chased across, got detained for some time. But you regularly don't carry your ID proofs to the border.
Right.
So that is one of the learnings, etc. What I had.
uh,
The wild encounters, it's always there.
hmm.
Okay. I mean, you find snakes, you find scorpions, you find other things. I mean, legs, hands, everything. It was leached with leeches.
Hmm.
Okay, so those things are part and parcel. There is one part where we had to somewhere around climb, what I would say, some 600 or 800 feet above.
Hmm.
And then we realized that that is the area which is frequented by leopards. I mean, you can see leopard pug marks.
Okay.
So the Gurkha, what he is saying कि अरे भैया आपको नहीं मारेगा. नो वाई. बोला आप 5 फुट 10 के ऊपर हो ना, वो 5.5 फुट के आदमी पे अटैक करता है. वो अगर छोटा हाइट का आदमी देखता है 2-3 तो आपको अटैक कर देता है. वो लंबे हाइट पे अटैक नहीं करता. ना भाई, व्हाट आर यू सेइंग एक्चुअली. अभी वो हाइट मापेगा क्या मेरा आके कि इट इज नहीं, इट इज 5.5 फीट, इट इज नॉट 5.10 फीट, यू ब्रॉट मी हियर. तो नहीं नहीं ऐसा नहीं है. I'm like, so I'm like, okay, fine, I'm done. Chalo. So in this, these are some of the fun encounters also, but never felt in that way because I always have a very close knit group which travels closely with me. I mean, we have fun together also. So these are some of the incidents which I can recollect as of now.
How frequent do you go on these expeditions and all?
I would say somewhere around from 2023 to 2025, I have quite a bit stopped now, but I will again resume.
Hmm.
But earlier it was every 6 and 8 months,
Okay. Okay.
and I never concentrated towards the fish side.
Hmm.
Though in the fish side also, if you start, I mean, wherever you have the shrimps, you have the fishes also
Right.
like baddies,
Right.
baddies, buxer.
Right. Right.
Never focused much on them.
Right. Uh, in terms of the overall number of native Indian shrimps, what is that number like? And I'm referring to those that can be kept in aquarium conditions, right?
Mhm.
What would that count be like?
So I have kept close to across different mutations and other things, some 10 to 12 varieties.
Mm, mm,
Okay. The zebra, Caridina zebra, the hotgati, the babaulti species, you have the green one.
mm,
Then there is one zebra species which comes. Then you have the white back. White back comes with two coloration. One is the somewhere around maroon and some comes blue. Then you have the red nose shrimps. So then there are certain bit of unidentified shrimps also. And Indian shrimps, you find lot of macrobachian species.
mm,
But what is happening across is the alarming thing is that the water bodies are getting destroyed.
mm,
Okay, so I mean, the farmers they use pesticides into their farms,
mm,
and that water comes into the water stream. So earlier, what used to be in abundance in market, we used to got one shrimps which is known as honey macrobachium, the trade name it is.
mm.
So that is very tough to find. In a yearly, in one catch, I used to catch some 100 odd, but in 1 or 2 days, I hardly find 4 5. So the I mean, I would say the controlled breeding or the conservation for these things also is needed because they are at the bottom of the food chain.
Mhm. It's very
Right.
sad.
So yes,
Uh,
there are few species also which we seen. I mean, but yeah.
do you see a market or demand for these Indian native shrimps in India itself, or uh, and as a follow up to that question, uh,
Hmm.
is there a demand for these native shrimps outside India?
Outside India, they are massively demanded.
Oh my God.
I'll just give you an example, Amar. The zebra shrimp that we get in India, somewhere around 20 30 rupees.
Hmm.
You know what the Taiwanese folks have done? They have taken it to Taiwan.
Hmm.
Through their breeding, they found an albino variety of it.
Hmm.
Okay, through the somewhere across in the recessive gene, it was there. So they started breeding the albino.
Hmm.
Now each albino in international market is going for $8. It was supposed to be it was supposed to be done by us. Now the red nose shrimp, which does not breed in fresh water,
Hmm.
the Taiwanese they have taken it to Taiwan
Hmm.
and they have bred it in mass scale. So what is actually would being an Indian shrimp should come from
Hmm.
India is the research and other things is done by international folks.
Hmm.
I feel the problem is that as an Indian itself, we don't value our own natural things.
Hmm.
We are more inclined towards the imported things.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. The barbs, etc., what India has,
Hmm.
which are very much in demand in foreign market, the green, the hot gutty shrimp. I would say if you have time,
Hmm.
try the hot gutty shrimp.
Hmm.
It will test you.
Hmm.
Okay. And the I also feel some of the situations that wrong things are also spread across within India. So hot gutty has only green coloration.
Hmm.
When it is stressed, it will become yellow.
Hmm.
And when it is red, it is about to die.
Hmm.
So people started selling the yellow as yellow rocket and red as red rocket,
Oh my God.
which is which is nothing but distress color.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I would suggest our Indian folks also and people who watch it like watch your podcast, start concentrating towards the Indian shrimps
Yeah,
also.
I
They are
remember.
very beautiful.
I remember your article in the very first edition of the Weekend Aquarist magazine, and in that you have mentioned about these stress parameters and how the hot gati changes its colors to it's a reflection of the stress that it's going through.
Hmm.
That's interesting. It's something like, not many people know about the rummy nose tetras, right? Their pink nose will just disappear if they are stressed, and if they are
Right.
nice color, that means they are enjoying their environment. I think for hobbyists and aquarists, it's important for us to understand the species that we are keeping or want to keep, instead of just going to the market saying that this looks interesting and coming and dumping it into the tank, which is again a
Right.
community tank, and you don't know what kind of tank mates you are having. So it's important for us to research that. Yeah,
Right.
that's an interesting point you brought about, Abhishek. Wow, I didn't even realize it's almost 40 minutes since we started talking. Time has just gone by. What's your plan now for Blue Whale in the coming years? What is it that you want to personally focus on?
So from Blue Whale from 2024, we started going more towards the research based. We have published close to four research papers. We now have two global patents also.
Wow.
And
Okay.
and this is the methodology, or this is the base where we want to start concentrating more in going days.
If you don't mind me
So,
asking, what are the patents for? If you
so
could share
first
them.
patent we have is for the paste food.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a food that we have manufactured. You can stick it to glass. You can even feed it to your baby fishes. You can use it for hand feeding. And the second one, which we have applied and got the India one already, that is the soft food.
Mm-hmm.
So soft food is the concept is that you get a normal pellet, you soak it into the water for 10 minutes, it becomes softer, and then you feed it to the fishes. So the pellets which will come in from Blue Whale or through our German partners also, which will be a softer food. You squeeze the pellet, release it, it will go back to the original shape. In the wild fishes also are accepting it very eagerly, and the digestion is much better. I see better growths in my fishes through that. So eventually we started expanding Amar into the other pet segments also slowly. And that would be the aim. So all the places wherever we are pitching across, we are backing it with huge chunk of data. Okay, even the bird supplements also, which we have launched, it's highly quantified with data. Anybody can visit our websites, they can start checking the data. Even for, so the thing what we try to position ourselves is we are born in India, but we are international. Okay, so what predominantly the notion that not just Indian hobbyist but international hobbyist also has that Indian company does not publish most of their research findings, or what are the research findings that we have. We are making everything open. Go there, read those things, and maybe end vision and other things what I have for Blue Whale thing, putting it across or making a brand out of or a company out of India, which is on par of an international standards.
Sometimes we don't realize the distance we have all covered, and I can tell you this, that knowing you from 2016 when we first crossed paths and all, and to the Abhishek Mallick that I am sitting across today and having this wonderful conversation, you've traveled a long distance, and I wish you many more successes in the years to come. Like we were talking about Kaizen, one step at a time, but
Right.
you've already taking giant strides in that direction. And I, on behalf of the Weekend Aquarist, on behalf of our audience, I wish to have many more conversations in the future with you as you make progress. And just wanted to thank you on behalf of the audience also for your insights. It's been a pleasure having you on the Weekend Aquarist, and I'm looking forward to many such conversations in the future.
Thank you so much, Amar, for having me. I'm also looking forward to have more conversations with you
Thank you.
and also the audience.
Thank you. Thank you, Abhishek.